Gon and Killua's friendship lies at the very heart of the Hunter x Hunter series. Their playfulness, their innocence, and their wholesome childishness. The two become truly inseparable after the Zoldyck family arc. Gon and Killua rely on each other, Gon providing the support Killua needs and Killua back at him. They're like the sun and the moon. Their development mirrors each other. As Killua becomes more self-assured, Gon begins to lose himself. As Gon loses his purpose, Killua finds his own. Killua starts looking up to Gon, and then Gon gave him the support he needed. They are both really young, and Killua especially wanted a friend, someone he could laugh and talk with. Gon provided that. Gon was reckless, and Killua helped him cool himself. Friendship is one of those things where everyone who has had one understands it, but it is very difficult to properly articulate. Friendship, camaraderie, and brotherhood, unlike other relationships, aren't necessary for our survival. They aren't needed to bear or rear children like romantic love and parental love are. This is probably why we devalue its importance when compared to romantic love, or eros, and parental love, or storage. In C.S. Lewis's book, The Four Loves, he describes the way we think about friendship as being far from the main course in life's banquet, or really a course at all, describing it as the bread you crumple unconsciously during a long dinner. Friendship is just crumbs on the side. He theorizes that this may be because a lot of people don't experience this close, inseparable friendship. That feeling of a close, brotherly bond is even less common now due to the internet. Friendships online are sort of like candy. It titillates and tantalizes, but never fully satisfies. I understand you can come close to some people online, but that friendship cannot be as intimate as the bonds in real life by its very nature. A friendship that engages all 5 of your senses, not one characterized by a disembodied avatar. You grow familiar with their mannerisms, things that can't be shown on a screen. A friendship is one where you can play games or sports with them. Someone you dare to climb that tree or talk to that girl. A friend whom you can call over if you ever need help working on a car if it spontaneously breaks down. He can not only teach you, but he can be someone that you can rely on. A friendship that begins due to some commonality, but grows into one where you can enjoy each other's company regardless of the setting. A brotherhood where you compete, laugh, and bring one another up. A sense of closeness that online relationships can only partly emulate. The online environment also, in a way, separates us. It allows us to take on multiple, unrelated identities. The internet allows us to find communities for anything we may be interested in, and while that comes with a lot of benefits, it also makes you lose touch of the community irrespective of that. We all want to stand out and be an individual, but in some sense, sometimes it's actually good to conform to society. With the internet, you're no longer forced to conform to a society such that you may bond with people personally over a common interest. You're no longer forced to find common interests or develop common interests with people around you. You can find all of your interests and people who share those interests all around the world over some subreddit or through some Discord server. G.K. Chesterton, in his book Heretics, writes about the beauty of small, tight-knit communities, your local friends and family. He says, "The man who lives in a small community lives in a much larger world. He knows much more about the fierce variety and uncompromising divergences of man. In a large community, we can choose our companions. In a small community, our companions are chosen for us." Chesterton believes part of the beauty of a community is the fact that we don't get to choose who's in it. Small communities give us a great deal of purpose and ironically make us more versatile as people. We're forced to deal with people who aren't exactly like we are. We can't curate a community of our liking, but we have to deal with the cards we're given. We're forced to break out of our comfort zone into a more dynamic world. And moving back to online relationships, you can be known in one community for one thing, and in another community for something completely different. This would naturally happen to some extent. For example, your parents would see you as someone different from your girlfriend. But I believe now we're able to compartmentalize ourselves to unnatural degrees. You may collect friends through any which activity you take up, but you never feel like you're bonding with someone completely, as they only know you for that one thing you share in common. It's my own personal belief that this is why a lot of people don't have many deep friendships if the statistics are to be believed. And anecdotally, I think they are. We have all of our interests accounted for, but we never go beyond that. We never grow with someone as a person. Nobody gets us. Nobody gets our specific particulars, we say. And to some degree, I can't really blame you. There's no one that you're fully growing with. You don't have those one or two friends you bond with over anything. You have multiple friends that you bond with over singular things. In the book Friendship and Technology, A Philosophical Approach to Computer-Mediated Communication, Tiffany Petrosini says, "The quick, unobstructed access to one another has morphed in short order from something used occasionally into the dominant mode of communication, often eclipsing the natural reaction to have a conversation or spend time together. The internet makes it such that your friends are always available, always a text away. There are benefits to that, but there's also negative aspects that are worth exploring. When we have friendships mediated online, we never get a break from them. There's no respite. You don't have to make a deliberate effort to set anything up with them, and thus you may come to appreciate their company less. We're more in touch, but simultaneously less close. Always being in touch with your friends also robs you of a substantive life outside of friends. It can often hinder your ability to engage in another type of love. Storge, familial love." Now, I'm not saying that online relationships are bad or that you can't grow with someone online. I'm just saying that they're different and they have unique problems. There may also be potential benefits to it. I'm just acknowledging some of the shortcomings and how they may affect your ability to experience a fulfilling human life. Perhaps this is just my own experience switching schools and being a major introvert. I'm honestly not sure if anyone else feels this way. But this is why I admire Gon and Killua's relationship. It reminds me of what I used to have before losing my in-person friends and making ones online. C.S. Lewis states that friendship arises out of mere companionship when two or more companions discover that they have in common some insight or interest or even taste in which others do not share, in which, to that moment, each believed to be his own unique treasure or burden. The typical expression of opening friendship would be something like, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." C.S. Lewis believes that it's this genuine shock and surprise that helps the relationship. Psychologically, we know that when something violates your expectations, you pay more attention to it. When two such persons discover one another, it's through immense difficulties and semi-articulate fumblings, with what seems to us to be amazing and moving at elliptical speed. They share a vision, and suddenly a friendship is born. And instantly, they stand together in immense solitude. I feel like I could just leave it there. I mean, anything I say from here on out is just lowering the IQ of the video. Anyways, Gon and Killua befriend each other in the Hunter exams based on the fact that they're both the same age and that they both seem to be child prodigies. It was spontaneous, innocent, and natural. Soon they end up sharing a vision, both having a vague yet powerful yearning for adventure and encountering the unknown in pursuit of their goal. Their goals of course weren't the same, but they coincided and complemented each other enough to where they could work in tandem. It's not these things individually, but cumulatively that created their deep friendship. Friends don't agree on everything, but they need to agree on the things they find important. And of those things they find important, they must have a similar degree of importance administered to each topic. It's from this common understanding that their key personality differences bounce off each other and bond them to one another. A lot of this brotherly friendship is unspoken. It's difficult to articulate and seemingly misses a lot of steps required to gain a bond that tight. It's semi-articulate fumblings, moving the friendship at elliptical speeds, moving from faint camaraderie to spontaneous friendship. They encounter the dangers of the world, fighting together through thick and thin, and stand together in immense solitude. This feeling of inseverable friendship isn't always taken seriously. With men, sometimes when it's displayed or spoken of with any sort of deeper seriousness, people mistake it for feelings of romantic love. But the relationship between Gon and Killua isn't romantic. They don't primarily look at each other face to face, but rather side by side, working together to help each other push beyond their limits. This is arduous, but also character fulfilling. When they do reflect on each other, it's due to having a common goal. They reflect on their longing for companionship and how they've grown as people, and only for a moment. It's not what lies at the heart of their friendship. unlike arrows. Gon and Killua have a desire not to be alone in this empty universe, but to have a companion and friend in which they can take on the adventure of life. To help them, to grow with them. They push you to become better, and you push them to become better. You never know exactly how far you can push yourself until there's something that calls upon your spirit to push itself further. We aren't completely self-motivated. Self-motivation can only take you so far. The best example of Gon and Killua doing this is in the dodgeball game. Killua uses his bare hands to act as a launching pad for Gon's ridiculous punches. Due to the ridiculous power that comes out of them, Killua's hands begin to get swollen, but he hides them because he doesn't want Gon to hold back. Killua was sacrificing himself to help Gon, but then a few minutes later it's acknowledged that Gon knew the whole time. He just knew that he couldn't go as hard as he wanted to if Killua wasn't holding the ball. Gon wouldn't be able to push himself far enough if it weren't for Killua's mere presence. They trust each other unquestionably and push each other beyond their limits. Only he and Gon have that bond. After hearing this, Killua is barely able to contain his smile. If there was one scene I could refer to that encapsulates Gon and Killua's deep friendship, this would be it. Friendships help both parties understand more about each other, to get to the point where they understand each other's needs, to where they're so in tune that they don't even need to exchange words of thanks because it's assumed that they will help each other. This takes not only interpersonal understanding, but deep self-understanding. An understanding of oneself that's only possible due to their deep friendship and chemistry. Killua could relate to Gon in a deep way because he was the same age and he was being non-judgmental of his past. He didn't care for who he was in the past, only who he is now. That's exactly the type of person that Killua needed. Killua is a broken child who learns to find his self-worth and puts his past behind him. Gon gives him the ability to do that. Gon is the dark within the light, and Killua is the light within the dark. Gon provides the optimism, and Killua provides the level-headed rationality. The importance of these best friends isn't just a convenient narrative tool, it's also psychologically necessary, revealing there's something particular and unique about this relationship. Killua, with the help of Gon, after removing Illumi's needle, is able to think clearly. He's able to live independent of Gon's light. His lens is made clear. This is how he's able to speak like Gon does to him back to Akalgo. I made a whole video on that years ago and I think it's still relevant. Speaking psychologically again, a child who grows up without a special best friend is more likely to grow up depressed, antisocial, and anxious. Children with fewer friends are more likely to grow up unemployed and unmarried. The friendship between Gon and Killua is friendship in the truest sense. They want each other because they add something personal about themselves onto each other. This is different again from the comrades that I mentioned before. Take for example Togashi's previous work in Yu Yu Hakusho. The gang only got together when there was a common threat, otherwise they just do their own thing. If we contrast friendship again with erotic love, in erotic love, the goal you're seeking is your partner. The partners speak of each other as if they cannot live without each other. They get a parched feeling when deprived of each other's presence, even for a moment. And of course, there's romantic attraction. Gon and Killua don't quench when deprived of each other, as seen when they briefly separate in Greed Island. Friendship is about working with someone on their goals and adding to that. Again, with romantic attraction, the goal is each other. I'm not devaluing friendship, I'm just saying that friendship is really about enjoying and adding to the journey. Gon and Killua solemnly depart as their adventure comes to a close. Friendships don't hinge on one another but on the goals they're reaching, so this makes sense. Gon saved Killua's psychological life after he removes the needle. Killua, feeling in debt, repays that favor by saving Gon's physical life. And now that their goals don't coincide and they aren't in debt to each other anymore, there's no reason for them to stay together. They're ready to move on from each other and take on whatever next adventure life throws at them. And it's my prediction that if they eventually do meet up and converse again, it'll be as if they only left each other's side for no more than 45 minutes. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.